After a lot of self-reflection, I have to say that I genuinely have an addiction. And at the very least, I have a very addictive personality. For example, I think one of the ways that it manifests for me is through video games. Even other behaviors, I have other, I guess, compulsive behaviors that are pretty hard for me to control, even with like knowing that it's bad and that I shouldn't do it and whatever. But in a lot of ways, video games is definitely the worst like compulsion, worst, I guess, addiction that, at least for me, that I can have. And I've really self-reflected because what you have to understand is that I didn't play, or I barely played, should I say, any games for like 2 years. I didn't play like a proper video game that I like. I didn't play like Minecraft, like any like sort of like single player like Minecraft kind of game. What you're seeing on the screen right now, if you don't know, it's called Valheim. It's a game I just started playing. It's basically just Minecraft, but like Vikings, like a 3D kind of, I don't know what you call it, like low res polygon thing. I don't know. It's cool. It's cool, but man, this game is basically exactly what triggers my, I guess, addictive tendencies. So essentially, the story is this: is that one day I just randomly, like, obviously I knew about this video game called Valheim. My brother played it, and I just heard about it. Obviously, it was very popular on Steam for quite a while, but I don't know, I never got it. And randomly on Steam, like on the Steam store page, I saw that it was on sale. And the thing is, I haven't logged into Steam at this point for like 2 years. Genuinely, the last video game I played was Elden Ring, another game that at the time I was heavily addicted to, if I'm, being very honest with myself. And this game, Valheim, I don't know what came to me. I just saw it. I was talking to my mate. I'm like, oh, would you be keen? And I don't know. As I was like playing and toying with the idea in my head, I just randomly, I'm like, you know what? Why not? Like I've already, like at this point, I've basically already finished like the semester of uni. I only had like one exam and a assignment left. But I was like, oh, I have some time. Why not? And so I bought the game. Again, it was like very cheap as well. I bought it on like G2A. It was cheap. And very quickly, very quickly, it was one of those things that, yep, I'm playing till 4 a.m. Mind you, I wouldn't say I'm an early bird, but 4 a.m. is not me at all. And just slowly, I saw, and I felt like this whole time I was aware, but I didn't want to stop, but I was aware that this is probably not the best way I'm spending my time. And slowly, basic things like brushing my teeth at night, I just wouldn't do because it's like 4 a.m. I'm so tired. I just want to, like, usually me and my mate would get off just because of how exhausted we are. And, soon, like, you wake up in the morning, you just want to play the game. You don't even want to do your morning prayers. That's what I was doing a lot. I was skipping a lot of my prayers because I just was thinking about the game, or I just wanted to play the game. Surprisingly, though, I think it was somewhat controlled. Like, at least Valheim, because I was playing it with my mate, and I wasn't really playing it solo. I played it a little bit solo, but honestly, I just preferred playing it with my mate. So I just ended up only playing it with my mate. And to be honest, I was more free than, or yeah, I was more available than he was. So in a sense, it was kind of easy for me not to be fully entrenched into it because I could only play when he would be playing, and he was hosting the server and all this. So in that sense, it was good. But recently, it was genuinely like 2 3 days ago. It was my mate. I had to sort out a hard drive for him, and basically, what even happened? Yeah, so basically, I just had to sort out an old hard drive and just like recover the files, whatever. Nothing like complicated. But I had to switch to Windows. Well, I didn't have to, but I knew that I could solve it on Windows. I don't know if I could do it on Linux. So I was just like, let me just make my life easier. So I went on my Windows install, and I basically had to like wait for like I had to like copy like 600 gigabytes worth of files from his hard drive to this external hard drive. So I was waiting there for a bit. In the end, I was like stuck on the Windows computer. I'm like, oh, what should I do? I loaded up Steam, and I was like, oh, well, I've got Elden Ring installed on this computer. Because I actually couldn't get Elden Ring working on Linux properly. Or like it did work, but it was very glitchy. I'm like, you know what? I've already like started playing some games. Why not I just check it out? You know, kill some time. Actually, I should mention before this, I was also playing a bit of Sekiro. One of my, I have to say, what like in my opinion, it's probably the best like From Software like game. But again, like I had to stop Sekiro because it's too addictive. Like the idea, and you know what the addiction was? It was just trying to kill one boss. Like the thing is, I knew that each time I played it, I did a run, I was getting better, and that I was closer to beating the boss. But it's such a small increment, and the game really demands perfection. Something I don't usually like. I usually don't care about like being so perfect usually, but I don't know. Somehow Sekiro just hooked me. And yeah, I don't. Eventually, I stopped that, but then I started playing Elden Ring, and then when was this? Maybe it was yesterday. Actually, I can't lie. It might have been yesterday or the day before. I can't remember because the time I just lost all sense of time. I don't even. Well, I think it's Friday, but this whole thing started on Wednesday. That's if that tells you how much hours of my life I've wasted. I've wasted at least 80 hours of my life to like video games in the last like month. I think something like 60 to 80 hours. How much of those hours did I work? Like, I think that's all I did. I don't think I really did any work. A little bit of like uni work, a little bit of YouTube, but you can see like the 80 hours of YouTube work, I would have like so many videos out. It doesn't even take that long to make a video, but there you go. The other thing that I have to say is that when I started playing Elden Ring, again, it was a similar thing that I knew that I'd be getting better and I could do better and stuff, but I had to just look at myself. I'm like, what am I actually doing with my life? You know what I mean? But then another game starts. So then I don't even know where I got the idea, but I randomly just got the urge to play Crusader Kings 2, which is I think it's a grand strategy game or global strategy. I don't know what it's the actual term, but it's a strategy game. And I wouldn't say I've been huge. I've played quite a few strategy games. I've sunk a couple hundreds of hours into it. But I don't know, just the idea like medieval, like I don't know, it's interesting to me. And then that game, it's surprising that game has consumed so much of my mind since yesterday and today that I think it was yesterday that I started playing it. I'm not actually sure when I started. I think it was yesterday. I played it a little bit and then instantly like 6 hours go by, something like that. Today, I'm not kidding you. I woke up. I woke up. I hopped on. I was still in my pajamas. I didn't do my morning prayers. I just hopped on my computer, hopped on Crusader Kings, started playing, and then, obviously like some breaks here and there, but I just got off like maybe 3-4 hours ago. And I got off because I honestly just got annoyed because I was gonna show you I was gonna record some footage, but honestly, I'm somewhat scared that I might just like end up playing. I don't know, but you know what? I'll show a screenshot because I think I did take a screenshot. I was just trying to convert Hungary into an Orthodox country and just like make it strong. And then eventually, like I was about to like fully conquer like major parts of Croatia. And then Bohemia just declared war on me. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just screwed because Bohemia's got a way bigger army than me. So I don't know. Loki quit out of frustration, but my eyes were sore, like they were genuinely tired. And when I got up and looked in the mirror and I looked at my eyes, never before, like my eyes were bloodshot, like red, like painful. And that's when I had to really start thinking about, I'm like, what am I doing? Because in the last couple days, I've literally in the last couple days I've genuinely accomplished nothing, or an extremely small amount. And I don't want to just yap this whole thing. I've actually had a theory. I'm not saying this is 100% truth, but this is the way I understand it, and I feel like this makes a lot of sense. It's very realistic, I think is the word. Is that there's basically two types of games. There's two types of games if you really boil it down. There's a game with some sort of progression. A game where the goal is to have some goal and to work towards that goal. And these goals, like, it can change over time and it can evolve. But the point is, you're always building something. There's some kind of construction, some overall improvement. And then there is, I guess you could say, casual, just fun. Games that they exist in a vacuum. And I think, again, there's two types of people. Well, maybe not even two types, and maybe that's too much of a oversimplification. Like, it's quite possible that people can fall into like a spectrum. But I mean, if you really think about it, there's a game like COD. At the end of the day, it's a shooter, and like genuinely, it's not meant to be like a super game where there's a major progression. There's like storylines and stuff, but the main thing is you hop in a lobby and you just shoot people. And for a lot of people, that's enough. They just shoot people. Think about the game, like card games. They're actually a great way. Like, there's no real progression. It's just you win the game and that's it. It exists in a very small vacuum. Then there's other games like Minecraft or Elden Ring, but you could think of any story game, or any RPG, should I say. Strategy games. A lot of games really fit into this whole model of progression. You work on something, you grind, and then eventually you get good enough that you achieve some goal, you beat that boss, or you achieve this outcome. And for me, at least, progression is definitely where I'm sucked in. Some people are sucked in by just like the momentary good time. But for me, it's 100% like trying to get better. And you think about it, like, why does it end up that you start playing games and you're more interested in progressing in the game than in progressing in real life? I mean, if you really think about it, it makes sense, because to progress in a video game is a lot quicker, a lot easier, a lot more painless than to progress in real life. I mean, like in a game, genuinely, like you can achieve like a very high status only in a couple hours, really. Like, that's usually how it works. Is like, if you grind, then obviously it depends, but a lot of games you can achieve like a pretty good level of status in only a couple hours. Now, in real life, if you go from a very low status, if you have very low status in real life and you're trying to go to a high status, that takes years. And there's so many different aspects to it, and it's very painful to get to that high status. One aspect of high status is just like the way you present yourself, the way that others see you. And that could be manifested through going to the gym. Very simple. If you were a very skinny, kind of scrawny person, people's perceptions on you are different compared to that if you were just like, huge and buff. Or, muscular at the very least. So, and again, like, you can't do that in a couple hours. You can't do that in a couple months. Like, it takes genuinely years, at least 2 years probably, I'd say, to get to a point where you can actually really start seeing the difference in your, I guess, status, that is to say.
Sure. eight, eight, four, five, six, seven, eight. Come on. Come on. Nine. Come on.
Again, think about how long it takes just to learn anything. Like, in reality, like, if you want to learn a language, that's thousands of hours. If you want to become good at drawing, that takes thousands of hours. If you want to become a good programmer, that takes thousands of hours. Everything really takes thousands of hours to become, I guess you could say, fluent. Obviously, you can learn basic stuff. Like, it doesn't take thousands of hours to learn how to code, but might only take like 10, 20. But are you a good coder? You could say you have a very basic fluency, but maybe not a proper mastery of the language, of like the coding language, should I say. And likewise, I'm kind of taking that idea from language, like, sure, you can learn a couple phrases. Ciao, come stai, sto bene. Like, you can learn all these phrases in like 5 minutes. But is that a fluency? Not necessarily. And that, to achieve that fluency, it's genuinely a mastery of everything. It's not just knowing certain situations, it's knowing every situation, knowing how to respond to any situation, at least in language. But I'm sure you can apply the analogy to many other things. Think about drawing. Like, you can spend maybe 10 hours, which is, if you really think about it, it's not a lot. You can spend 10 hours learning how to draw an eye. Sure, you might be able to be a very good drawer at drawing an eye. But can you really say that you can draw, or that you have a talent or fluency for drawing? Not necessarily, because sure, maybe the eye becomes fantastic when you draw it, but the hands, the anatomy, the face, everything else is just either completely incorrect or just very poor. Again, this takes thousands of hours, but in a video game, it takes maybe, yeah, obviously it depends, it's hard to say, but way less. I think we can all agree it takes way less. Now, I'm not here to say that now you have to stop playing video games and stuff, because at the end of the day, it's genuinely your life. But reflect. Like, that's the only thing I'd say, is really reflect. And number one, think about, are you really enjoying life? Or is it just escapism? Because for me, it's definitely escapism. For me, it's definitely like, sure, there's some kind of fun in the challenge, and there's some kind of fun in accomplishing the challenge in the video game, such as fighting the boss for like the 100th millionth time, but then finally beating it. That's the best feeling for like 2 minutes. Genuinely. And then, oh, now I have to do the next boss, and the next boss, and the next boss. And quickly, the hours stack up. And just, when you start looking back, you're like, what did I actually accomplish though? One thing that is hard to really understand until you truly experience it for yourself is going to the gym and seeing that progress in your own body. For me now, it's almost in maintenance mode, where I genuinely haven't gone to the gym in like 2 months. Now, granted, there are some excuses, some very fair, like, valid excuses. Oh, I had university, I was focusing on this and that, I wasn't planning on training, whatever. Like I wasn't training it in that specific method, I was trying a new style of training, whatever. There are excuses, but still, my progress, even if I don't focus on it for months and I don't do anything, because I'm still, doing push-ups at home and stuff, I still get compliments every now and then. Not an insane amount, but I still get compliments. And I'm like, they're like, what do you do? I'm like, oh, no, I do push-ups at home. Now, obviously, it's a bit disingenuous, because that's not to say that I built it from push-ups at home, but genuinely at this point in time, that's all I do. Or even language learning. I'm going to be honest, I've not done any of my Anki cards in months, like maybe 2 months or something. It's genuinely been a while. I just fully like let it go. And like, obviously, I still know Italian. Or I know it to the extent that I know it, which is not a level of fluency, but it's maybe a basic or an intermediate level of fluency, but not a true master yet. So real life, like, you can't take away these things, but as soon as you turn off the video game, it's already taken away from you. And that feeling when you're so sucked into the video game that you forget about eating, drinking, you forget about all that. You forget about the pain that's in your eyes and pain in your back and the overall disgusting feeling you have with yourself because you haven't even showered, which at least it's common for me. Obviously, I did shower in the end, but only after like 1 p.m.
Ne humorizáljon, jegyet kértem, nem revolver. Hé, jó ember, van magának jegye?
Even the idea of moderation. It's hard to moderate something and continue doing your everyday duties when genuinely to play a video game is just more fun than to play the game of life. And I know it sounds like a bit corny and like, oh, game of life and this and that, but it's genuinely true. Like, I've never felt so disinterested and unmotivated to really do anything in life until the last couple of days. I have a friend who plays a lot of video games, and he's that type of guy where it's like very calm, very chill, and like, you know, very, I guess, lax. Almost like a lack of passion, just unmotivated in life. And I've had many friends before that have this same very lax, and you know, a lot of people, if you ask them, they'll be like, yeah, he's chill. But it's more than chill. It's more lack of passion, lack of zeal or enthusiasm for life. And they're always gamers. They're always gamers that really take it to the extreme. And I say this not in a judgmental way, because I am that person as well, where people, you know, if you asked me, at least maybe in this state right now, they would say I'm very chill. But the interesting thing is, normally people would not say that I'm super chill, you know, every now and then, but a lot of people would say that I'm a very much like a character. I hope that doesn't sound like egotistic or anything. It's just that is how people view me.
Andreuccio, tu sei il benvenuto.
Ah, signor, che vedevo di voi siate la ben trovata.
Andreuccio, vieni.
Look, at the end of the day, I know that however I want to live my life, video games cannot be in line with that, because it doesn't support the kind of life that I want to achieve. And genuinely, I think with video games, looking at it now, it's something that I have to be very totalitarian with. I have to be very much so, it's either in or it's out. And which one benefits me when it's out? Because when it's in, other stuff isn't being accomplished. So does this mean like I'll never play a video game ever again? Probably not. I might even relapse, but honestly, I don't think so, because I've done it before. I remember all I did is I just stopped playing, and then that was that. Genuinely, there is a little bit of a feeling where, well, me and my mate, we've already been playing for so many hours. We haven't even finished Valheim. We're like not even like technically close. But I haven't figured that out. Well, I'm gonna be honest. Do I be a dickhead to my friend and just say, oh no, I'm not that I'm better than this, but I don't enjoy this? I don't know. It's something that I have to figure out. The other hard thing, if you're in a similar situation, is having friends, having mates that enjoy the same video games as you. And basically, when you really start analyzing it, the friendship is based on video games. Then it can be kind of scary and daunting to want to quit that, because that's literally your social life as well. So it's not only you're losing this thing, this crutch that makes you feel like you're actually accomplishing something in life, because, you know, every day you clock hours into the game and you're getting closer and closer to achieving whatever goal you're trying to achieve, whether it's killing that boss or getting this sword or whatever it is. You lose that feeling of progression, that major amount of progression in life, as well as that your social life, that's horrible. It genuinely is shit. And my only advice is, if you have genuinely any friends that aren't, like your friendship isn't surrounded by that, then stick to them. And if you have if you have no friends, if you have genuinely no friends like that, then maybe try. It's easier said than done. Because obviously I've always had friends that, friendships that weren't based on that. So it wasn't difficult for me. But honestly, if I was in that situation, I would just choose the loneliness, and I'd just try and make friends in whatever capacity I can. Whatever interest I have, I go to clubs or whatever possible way there is. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's nothing too complicated to handle. And I'm sure that if you're in a situation like this, you can figure it out. But that is genuinely just my thoughts. Video games have taken so many hours of my life. I don't want to be too much of the kind of guy that says, oh, if I didn't play these video games, I could learn Chinese and Arabic by now. In a sense, it is true. Like, I would be much more ahead of my time. Like, much more ahead of life. But also, a lot of the video games that I played were like when I was like less than 18. When I was under 18 years old. A lot of my time clocked in video games. Actually, literally 90% of like the hours I have clocked in video games were while I was under the age of 18. So in a sense, it's not like it that makes it like excusable, but it's like, what else are you gonna do at that time? Like, if that makes sense. And there's also a sense in which I've learned an insane amount about myself, not through the video game, but through the struggle of realizing that I'm like actually not where I am at in life. And that, if I'm being frank, like a bit of a loser. Like, once I started realizing and having those realizations that I'm a loser, I'm wasting my time, that is also experience, genuinely is experience. And at the end of the day, to my knowledge, it is actually considered an addiction, like medically. So if you have had that experience, that's something that other people can't say, I think, I don't want to misquote, but it might have been an orthodox saying, it might not, but essentially, there's no virtue in not having the temptation. You can't say, I'm virtuous for being chaste, when there is no temptation of lust for you. There is no virtue. There's only virtue when you have the lust and you choose to be chaste. Chaste. There's only virtue when you say no. But if there is nothing to say no to, then you can't say that you're virtuous. So in the same way, if you've had this experience, and to be honest, it doesn't even have to be video games, but any sort of addiction that you overcome and you just say no to, that's virtue. And some people, they can't say that. They can't say that. Either they've never gotten to the point where they can say no to some of their addictions. Maybe not all of them, but even reduce it. Not many people can say that. A lot of people just indulge, knowing that it's bad for them, but it's like, it's whatever. I still do it. I still indulge a lot, and I know all the bad things about my indulgences. Probably better than anyone else. To a certain extent. I think I'm not trying to be like super duper deep or anything like that. I just want to share my experience. I genuinely hope. Oh, that was a mad voice crack. I genuinely hope that if you are, I don't want to say suffering, but if you are struggling with an addiction to video games, that, comment down below. Comment down below. Well, tell me your story. I'm actually curious. Or if you had an addiction and you're just watching this video, then tell us the story. You genuinely might help out someone else reading comments. Alright, I've yapped enough. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, comment. It helps me out. As well, if you subscribe, obviously hit that notification bell so that you can stay up to date with my videos. I know it's very like corny, like blah, 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 and you probably already skipped, but genuinely, if you do it, it helps me out. And if you feel like you can relate to me and you subscribe and you like, then hopefully you'll find more people like me and you. You know, hopefully it'll be more recommended. Because I mean, when you are doing that, you're saying to the algorithm, I like this content. So ideally, you should be getting more content like this. If not, then don't worry, I'll make all the content just for us. Anyways, genuinely, once again, please leave a like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Mi ez? Narancs. Narancs? Az új magyar narancs. Kicsit sárgább, kicsit savanyú, de a miénk.